Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Aston Originals podcast. We've got some really exciting news to share with you today, and I've got some fine individuals here to introduce to you who will share this news with you, starting with Professor Roslyn Bill, who is the 50th anniversary Professor of Biotechnology here at Aston University.
Hello.
Also, Professor Paul Topham, who's a Professor in Polymer Science here.
Hello.
And we've got Dr. Alan Goddard, who's a reader in Biochemistry. Hello.
Hi.
So, yes, welcome. And these fine individuals, as I say, have got some exciting news, which is that we at Aston University have been awarded almost £10 million from the UK government's research funding body, Research England, for establishing a new membrane institute that will be called the Aston Institute of Membrane Excellence, or AIME, A-I-M-E. So, Ros, what is AIME all about? How did it come about?
Oh, well, good question. So what we're about at Aston is the idea that we can bridge everything from the biological end of understanding what membranes are through to the more technological and chemical end of what membranes are. So we've brought together two groups. So let me talk about the one I'm interested in, and then I can hand over to my esteemed colleague to talk about the other group. So there were 5 of us in what we call AMPLE, Aston Membrane Proteins and Lipids. And that's a group that looks at the biological process of how membranes, which are the outsides of cells that keep everything that should be on the inside in and everything that should be on the outside out, how we can understand them better so we can really understand how people who are healthy have healthy lives, and when things go wrong, how that leads to diseases or problems as we age. So that's what AMPLE's about. And we realized that we could collaborate with our colleagues over the other side of the university with polymer chemistry and bring those two things together.
Great. So, Paul, could you elaborate on the polymer side of things?
Sure. So what we do on the chemistry side and the polymers, many people refer to them as plastics, but we're actually talking about more sort of designer materials that are really, really cool, according to me. And what we do is we've got a group of chemists, material scientists, and some physicists that are working on designing different materials from the molecular level upwards. So really, really clever researchers. And because they know how to do chemistry, they can design a material, take atom by atom, put these atoms together and make some really cool materials that do various things. And what we want to do is we want to be solving real world problems by designing these different materials. And it's wide ranging what we do. And the final point, because we've not got all day, I've been told, but I could talk forever, is that we want to be making these polymers or plastics fully sustainable. So we make them from renewable resources. We make them, they do their job amazingly, and then at the end of their life, they decompose or recycled or compostable or whatever it is.
Great. So not just because you said you got some really clever researchers, it's because I didn't realize I didn't introduce myself, but I am a lecturer in chemistry here, and my expertise is polymer chemistry. So whether you think I belong in that category of one of the clever researchers or not, I'll let you decide.
There are clever researchers in our team.
So
and Matt.
Yes, Matt's available.
So swiftly moving on from that, come to you, Alan. So how did this whole thing start?
I think we're really lucky at Aston in that we've got one single big building that houses all of our different schools. So if you go to a different university and you want to find a chemist from a biologist point of view, you might have to cross the road, get into a building you can't get into. We can literally walk down the corridor and find people to collaborate with on different projects. And as we were saying earlier, I think the research is really united across the groups by solving real world problems. And I think we identified real world problems that we can solve together that we can't solve independently. And that started with some small projects and some PhD studentships. And we've now got some larger awards, including this E3 award, to kind of set up that interdisciplinary collaboration.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind 12 months or so, hasn't it? It's been
we've had
amazing.
some good success.
Yeah. So what will AIME mean to Aston? So what exciting things are on the horizon, Ross?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that we'll be able to work together because we're going to hire lots of new people. So the grant itself will bring in 20 people. And we're going to form this cross-disciplinary, cross-college institution where we all bring our expertise together. So we're going to have some new members of staff, new people like us. We're also going to have some people who come in with exciting research ideas and they're in the early stages of their career. And then they will work towards joining us in the future and doing lots of exciting research and bringing more people in themselves. And we're going to have lots of PhD students. So there's going to be a whole buzz around the individuals who are really identifying with what we do in the institute.
Yeah, we're really keen on mentoring the new staff that come in, so then they can become the next great things.
The future leaders in our
Exactly.
area. And I think we really are establishing a a new area. So lots of people out there work on biological membranes, lots of people work on polymers, but there aren't any other groups, as far as we're aware, anywhere in the world that really works across the whole spectrum of that science. And that means we can do the sort of stuff that Anna was talking about. So we can talk about bio-inspired membranes that we learn from the proteins in our biological membranes, and we use the polymers to bring all of that together to do exciting things that wouldn't otherwise be possible.
Great.
I think that's really important, that we're not just doing two disciplines side by side. It's either interdisciplinary or maybe transdisciplinary, depending on how you look at it, where the disciplines really have to interact with each other rather than being, say, a chemist makes something and a biologist tests it. There's got to be those iterative cycles and those kind of activities.
Perfect. So it sounds like lots of new people, and I know it's at least 20 new members of staff. They've got to go somewhere, right? So can you tell me about the labs, Paul?
Yeah, so along with this external grant, Aston have agreed to support this with £3 million, and we're building a brand new set of labs. So the idea is that we have the chemistry lab on one side, so making the materials. All the way on the other side, we've got the biological people doing all the clever biology stuff. But then in the middle, we've got the analytical suite, so where we actually characterize or identify what our materials are and how they perform. So by having this shared area, particularly in the middle of shared equipment, all the researchers will naturally integrate because they'll be chatting to each other on a daily basis. And we all know, just from our sort of weekly catch-ups or monthly meetings, we were talking different languages at the start, and it's that integration of our researchers on a daily basis that they'll create this fluent language with state-of-the-art equipment.
And there's a nice point there as well, isn't it? Because we were talking to some of the bodies that we are members of, and actually talking about trying to formalize some of that use of language. So that's an opportunity for us as well to lead the field, which is quite exciting.
Amazing. So I know here at Aston, we're really proud of where we are in Birmingham as well. And I know part of the bid that was central to the bid was our impact on our local region. So Alan, can you elaborate on that?
Yes, if you've not been to Aston, you should. It's a glorious holiday destination. We're kind of on the edge of Birmingham city centre, which is great for accessibility, but it also means we're now in what is going to become, and I suppose is becoming, the Birmingham Innovation Quarter, which is based around Aston's campus, where the idea is that lots of small and medium enterprise and even large companies will come in to do high-tech research. And it lets us kind of plug into that network, but also gives us a space to spin out the companies that will come out of AIME into bespoke buildings that might have labs in or connections with other industries. So it's really placing AIME at the heart of translating the science. So we've talked a lot about we want to solve real world problems, but to do that, you need to translate it into a thing or a solution, and it'll give us the space and networks to do that.
Great. Lots of exciting things going on in the region.
Yeah.
So when can we expect to see AIME being established, or the first activities?
So we formally launch on the 1st of August of this year, so it's not far away. It's exciting. So there's a lot of pre-prep to get us to that phase. We're going to have a launch event in September the 13th. So put that date in your diaries.
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. It's all good.
It's memorable.
So that'll be good. Yeah, so from the 1st of October, we're in Institute. The grant.
1st of August.
Sorry, what did I say?
October, that time.
1st of August.
1st of October is my birthday, if people want to note that down.
And if people want to know something, Ross is terrible with dates.
I am really terrible. It's a miracle I turned up here at all today, to be honest with you. So yeah, let's do that one again. So it starts on the 1st of August. The launch is on the 13th of September, and Paul's birthday is the 1st of October. These are all key dates for your diaries. The grant itself is for 5 years, but this is just a pump primus, and we imagine that we're going to keep growing and growing. And certainly the first thing is to get some of the key people in. So watch this space, watch jobs.ac.uk, and watch the Aston website for applications around the lecturers, senior lecturers, readers, professors, and also the tenure track research fellows. So there's going to be some amazing opportunities to join us. Those opportunities will be going live very, very soon, I would imagine the next week or so. And we're also hiring a lab manager and an institute manager. And then later on, there'll be some postdoctoral opportunities and PhD studentship. So there's lots going on. Just make sure you stay in touch with what we're doing. We really want good people to join us.
Yeah, that's one of the key messages from this. So, and beautifully delivered. So watch this space for the new hires and the job adverts going out imminently.
Don't ask me when the closing dates are, because I'll get that wrong.
So, Paul, you discussed these fantastic new labs that we're fortunate enough to have some investment to develop. So what's the timeline regarding those?
Discussions are already taking place in terms of designing the space. Construction will be going on from the summer onwards, and we're hoping for a 1st of January 2025
Excellent.
kickoff.
I think the really exciting thing about the labs is it's a big open space really at the moment, and it's kind of a blank canvas to design this lab on, because it's a new type of lab that other people don't have. So involving the research and designing it from scratch means it will get the right workflow through the lab and the efficiencies, and also get those networking opportunities for people on a kind of ad hoc basis, where you're down the other end of the lab and you see somebody doing something and say, oh, what are you doing? They say, I'm growing cells, and Paul says, I don't know what cells are. And then they say, what do you do? I make polymers. And I say, I don't know what a polymer is.
Yeah.
But then you have those conversations that kind of spark those interactions.
Yeah, great. So very much a space designed with AIME at heart.
And also, I think what's useful is because we're hiring now for the more senior positions, people can come along and be a part of that design journey as well, which will be really exciting. So everybody gets the lab space they need to do the work they need to do.
Great. So there's research activities got to be going on in these labs. So can you give us a flavour of, we've already touched on it a little bit, but maybe a more specific flavour on some of the research activities that we can expect?
Yeah, so we're hoping to have about 60 researchers active in the lab from the start, which would be amazing. And there's a whole kind of suite of projects we do in AIME. I suppose there's ones that are focused on health and disease, like Roslyn's research looking at cures for traumatic brain injury, for example. There's the stuff that me and you do together with Paul and Ros as well, where we're looking at making water treatment devices using biological membranes to inspire these plastic membranes with biological components. We've got colleagues who work on nanoparticles, so particles that are smaller than visible light. So we can use those for drug delivery, but they're also produced naturally by your body as part of your repair features, and understanding the biology behind that. You can only really unpick by understanding the molecular level. So we need the chemistry input from that, and we need to go up to whole cells and even organisms to see how they behave in the presence of those nanoparticles. Great.
Yeah, so very much from the spectrum of making polymers, doing stuff in what people might find like a dirty chemistry lab, all the way up to
I think we're going all the way from even subatomic things in terms of some of the physics we might be doing, all the way up to whole organisms. So humans in the end would be the endpoint for the treatments, but spanning that discipline, so you know that the thing you're designing molecularly in the first place, as Paul was talking about, is going to be fit for purpose for the thing you're going to do at the end.
Amazing. And then I think we've got time to go into one project in a bit more detail, which Alan alluded to, which was your recent project around dementia. Ross, if you'd like to elaborate on that.
Yeah, sure. So I've got an ELC Advanced grant, which is very exciting. That started
Brilliant
on
news,
the 1st of January.
Are you sure it was 1st of January?
I'm pretty sure. I didn't say what year it was, though, did I? Yeah, so it's brand new, which is exciting. I don't know whether the people watching this podcast can see the lovely picture. Are we in front of the lovely picture? No, we're not in front. We are in front of the lovely picture. So obviously everybody's favorite membrane proteins are called aquaporins. So I work on the tiny little proteins in our membranes that allow water through. And we do a lot of work on aquaporins. We work with Alan and some of the work he does on trying to make water filtration devices using our knowledge about aquaporin water channels. But I'm really interested in what they do in the body. And so my project is really trying to understand how we control the flow of fluids through the brain and how that clears away all the waste products that develop in the brain during the day. And so we're going to be doing a lot of work on trying to control the flow of fluid through the brain, trying to make it more efficient, because we know as we get older that efficiency drops. We don't sleep as well. Our blood vessels tend to stiffen. You know, we're not in great shape necessarily as we grow older, and all of that contributes to the likelihood that we're going to get some kind of cognitive decline. It's something I worry about at my age for sure, especially when it comes to dates. But if we can make the waste clearage system of the brain more efficient, and that would be something to do with understanding how these tiny proteins work, then we have a chance to delay the onset of the inevitable. So there's a lot of exciting research going on in the team, looking at how we might understand how this works. And if we know how it works, then we can intervene and hopefully keep it working as well as possible for as long as possible.
Amazing. Thank you. So that is just, I guess, one key example of a really impactful research project that could impact many lives here, and to whet your appetite for the kind of things going on in AIME, the Aston Institute of Membrane Excellence. So the key message is keep track of the Aston website, and specifically our Aston Institute of Membrane Excellence web pages for updates on job adverts coming out, updates on labs. We'll be creating our own Twitter profile or X. So keep up to date with updates on there. We'll post links to those as part of this podcast release as well. The last thing to say is thank you very much to Ros, to Paul, to Alan. I've been Dr. Matt Derry, and look forward to updating you on these projects soon.